A US Supreme Court case will be heard this Wednesday on the legality of the trade tariffs imposed by US President Donald Trump. Trump invoked the little-used law of 1977, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, to impose what many informed observers see as arbitrary penalties on all countries who trade with the United States, the US, of course, the main economic superpower in the world. A major question hangs over the Supreme Court's closely watched case then on President Trump's far-reaching tariffs. Will the Conservative majority hold the Republican president to the same exacting standards it used to limit his Democratic predecessor, Joe Biden?
An apparel company in Vermont is one of just a handful of small businesses at the center of a legal battle over Donald Trump's wide-sweeping tariffs, now before the Supreme Court.
Now we're subject to an ever-waiving amount of tariffs or costs to the company that seems unfair. It seems sporadic.
The lawsuit centers on a question of presidential authority. Under the Constitution, only Congress has the power to impose taxes. But Trump invoked a 1977 law called the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which gives the president emergency powers to deal with any unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security, foreign policy, or economy of the United States. That includes the power to regulate imports. But lower courts have ruled against Trump's argument that a trade imbalance and the trafficking of fentanyl constitutes such an emergency.
China, first row.
Since announcing widespread tariffs on just about every U.S. trading partner back in April, Trump has weaponized tariffs, most recently using them against Canada for airing a TV ad he didn't like, and against Brazil for prosecuting his friend, former President Jair Bolsonaro. While meant as a form of punishment for other countries, the owner of Terry Precision Cycling says it's he and other American businesses who are paying the cost.
We're always doing the right thing, and it seems a travesty to have this company dissolve just for an undue burden.
If the Supreme Court decides to undo the tariffs, it's unclear how the billions of dollars already collected would be returned to those who shouldered the cost. If the court rules against them, Trump officials have vowed to find another legal argument to keep the tariffs in place.
So, legal or not, let's get some insight. Frederick T. Davis joins us, former Federal Prosecutor, now Lecturer in Law at Columbia. Fred, always a pleasure to have you on France 24. Great to see you, and you're looking fantastic. Am I right in thinking this is as much a test of the tariffs as of the Supreme Court, isn't it? Because clearly some people might be expecting a court with a 6-3 Conservative majority to find for the people who put them in place. Then some people might say, well, isn't the law supposed to be independent and not swayed by politics? Give us your sense of where we're going with this one, Frederick.
Well, you put it perfectly. I mean, I think, fasten your seatbelts. We're going to find out whether the Supreme Court is going to stand up. Look, there's no polite way to put this. Trump is trying to destabilize American democracy. He really is. And he's doing it in significant part by destabilizing or deconstructing the separation of powers concept that every democracy has, namely the notion you have checks and balances with a legislature, an executive, and the courts. The Constitution clearly gives Congress the power to regulate tariffs. It's in the Constitution. And they've delegated some power to tweak that a little bit, to do some fine-tuning. But it's clear that the Constitution did not allow, and the legislature has not allowed Trump to come up with new tariffs. As you point out, he is claiming that the IEEPA gives him independent power to do this, claiming that there's an emergency. Now, among other things, it's a little bit odd that he's simply saying, at the same time he's saying it's an emergency, he's also saying, look what a great job I've done. Our country is doing great. The economy is better than ever has been. And at the same time, he's saying it's an emergency. But the real issue is, who determines that? I mean, he is saying the Supreme Court shouldn't mess with me saying it's an emergency. It's up to me to say whether there's an emergency and therefore whether the IEEPA applies at all. And if 5 members of the court buy all of those arguments, basically saying, oh, we'll stay out. The president says the law allows them to do this, and we're not going to second guess that. We're in real trouble. I think they probably won't, but we're going to be learning a lot on Wednesday during the argument. And keep in mind, this is only the first of several pretty big decisions heading to the Supreme Court dealing with these powers.
And how important then is it that the Supreme Court is seen to actually take this in an objective way? Because surely if it doesn't, it calls into question everything that it does.
Well, that's absolutely right. I mean, there have been scary statistics about the credibility of our Supreme Court with people in the United States. And it's just been stunning the degree to which a majority of people now think that the court is political just like everybody else. And that undoes the glue of democracy. I mean, having the credibility of the courts to think they are there above politics. If we lose that, then people don't trust anything that happens that comes out of government. So I really think it is, are we showing up for democracy time or not? And it'll be very, very interesting to see where this goes.
If I kind of put you on the spot, do you think Trump was within his rights to impose the tariffs that he imposed? Do you think that perhaps he's overstepped in some way, shape or form? There are some economic observers who describe them as arbitrary, almost extortionate measures.
Well, the tariffs are just, from an economic point of view and from an international political point of view, in my humble opinion, stupid. I mean, the notion of imposing a tariff on our close neighbor, our best friend just north of the border here, because we're annoyed about, a movie they put on is just ridiculous. Plus, the tariffs just change every day. We have a level of uncertainty in our country that is inhibiting business investment. But the real issue is the constitutional one. I mean, he's allocating himself a power that he does not have. And to me, that's just unambiguous, and the court should say so.
Can you spell that out for people who perhaps don't follow that concept? And I will include myself in that category. In what way is it unconstitutional?
It's unconstitutional in the following sense. One, the Constitution allocates the powers between the legislature, the executive, and the judicial branch, right? The legislature has the power to regulate tariffs. It's in the Constitution. The word tariff is in the Constitution. They have done so. They've passed tariffs. They also, in those statutes, say the president, can negotiate fine tuning. I mean, you can't have the legislature every day looking at little things. But they're very, very clear. You can't impose new ones or make big changes. That's just what the law is. Normally, the executive enforces the laws as they are in the books. Namely, I have a law. It says I can fine tune. I can't do anything else. I enforce that. That's what the executive does. Then you have the third branch, which is the judiciary, that says, I'm here as the judiciary. I have these laws that the legislature passed. I have the executive that's doing what he or she is doing. It's up to me as the judiciary to determine whether what the executive is doing fits within the laws, whether they're executing the laws. And if all three of those branches do what they say they're going to do, I think they end up saying, I, the judiciary, am making a judicial determination that the Constitution allocated tariffs to the legislature and did not empower Trump to do what he did. Therefore, he can't do it. QED, as far as I'm concerned.
Frederick T. Davis, need to leave it there. Thank you, as always, for joining us, Fred. We appreciate your time and we appreciate the clarity you bring to these complex issues. The case goes forward on Wednesday. Frederick T. Davis is former Federal Prosecutor and now Lecturer at Law at Columbia University. Thank you, sir, for joining us. Looking good there in the US. Fred Davis there joining us from Columbia.